40 years old, you're an F up. You got no kids, no wife, no six-figure job, no white picket fence house. You got nothing. You're starting over for the third time. You're an F up. You're a loser. Boy, if I heard all that before and more. I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time, ever since I started my channel. But I've kind of always kept back from it because, one, I didn't know if anybody would be interested, and honestly at this point I don't even care if anyone is or not. And two, because, well, I was just learning how to be a YouTuber, tried to do things that would be more interesting for the public to watch, things that would be more educational, more how-to, or more informative. But I think I've finally got to the point now where I've done all that, and I've kind of figured out a way to present this kind of a little bit of life story, life lessons, but also something that will help to educate and address things that I know a lot of people of my generation, the millennial generation, are absolutely going through right now. So I decided to make this video, and it's no fancy camera. It's filmed right on the cell phone. No real good lighting, just here in the truck, no studio, no nothing. I decided I'm just going to do this video rough, off the cuff, and just speak my mind, and that's it. No editing, no nothing. No cutscenes, jump scenes, none of that. Only if the camera fails or if I fill up the memory card or something and I need to stop and refilm it, then I'll stitch it together or something. But other than that, nothing. This is going to be just a raw, straight from the heart, honest talk, essentially, for my fellow millennials out there that are in their late 30s, early 40s, and kind of wondering if they're just losers that are screwed. Wondering, will I ever make that high societal mark of having a wife and kids and having that, several hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not $1,000,000+ house, and having that six-figure income and career. And if I can't get it, am I just a loser? Am I just destined to be a broke-ass, poor F-up for the rest of my life? No. No, you're not. You don't need to make any of that. You don't need to strive for any of that. I mean, it's good to try, good to strive. It's not a mark against anybody who has that, or strove for that, or achieve that, or wants that in their life. There's both good and bad of everything. But it's not necessary. And honestly, from my own life experiences, I think it's actually the wrong way to live. I 100% believe it's the wrong way to live, especially now in today's economy, especially now with everything that's going on in the world. There's a better way to live, and actually a much more free way to live, a better quality way to live, a better peaceful way to live, a way that's better for your mental health to live, a way that's better for your physical health to live. And that's actually why I even started my channel in the first place. That's why I do what I do and teach what I teach. It all kind of ties into my life experiences, but also what I like to teach and preach, which is that life of absolute freedom, that life of absolute self-empowerment. And that's why I show you guys how to do projects, or how to find the best tools or the best deals, or figure out money hacks or life hacks, or figure out how to farm your own food, or tame your own land, or figure out how to fix your own truck, or why I promote old trucks over new trucks. Because guess what? This lifestyle is actually the most free I've ever lived my entire life. And I've lived different lives. I've chased different things. I've done so many different directions in my life. This is the fourth time I've started over in my entire life at 40 years old. 4 times. I've started all over again, from zero, from the ground up. And this time, I took all those life lessons, all those pains and struggles, all those kicks when I was down, all those wounds, all those everything, and decided I'm going in a different direction. And I can tell you right now, I am the happiest most mentally stable, cleanest, I'll get into that in a moment, healthiest, and overall freest that I've ever been in my entire life. And that's what actually inspired me to just take the plunge and start my channel, to show that kind of lifestyle, to show both people my own age what to do and how to do things to become independent and self-empowered, how to save money, how to live a peaceful life, how to live a free life, but also teach the young kids that are coming up too, the young guys, the young gals and guys, and they, them, z, zims. I mean, however you identify, it doesn't matter. You're all welcome here on this channel. I don't judge anything other than your character of person. That's it. I don't care what you look like. I don't care how you want to identify as. You just tell me what you want me to call you, and I'll call you that. I don't give a shit. What I care about is the quality of your inner character, the quality of your integrity. And there's plenty of good, integral people out there that don't fit into a mold. A lot of us don't fit into a mold. I don't fit into a mold. And I spent a lot of my life trying to, for a long, long time, to no avail. Other than to end up with severe depression and anxiety, which crippled me for 13 years, was partially a reason that drove me into losing 11 years of my life to addiction, to powerful substances, which absolutely ruined my health, ruined my mental health even further, destroyed my careers, almost destroyed my family, destroyed everything. I mean, those powerful substances like opiates, for example. I was on that for a long, long time. Last 3 years of which I got hooked onto the whole fentanyl thing. And finally got entirely clean of everything. Everything. Every now and again, maybe I have a beer, but I don't even finish it. I don't even enjoy the feeling of being altered anymore. I don't even want to be altered anymore because I don't have to hide from nothing. I don't got to hide from life's woes. I ain't got no woes. I ain't got to hide from my losses or my wounds, because my losses were actually wins. My wounds, my badges of courage, my badges of honor. Everything that I've achieved now is because of everything I fucked up then. I don't have to stress. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm off all medication. I don't have anxiety like I used to anymore. Not to say I don't get like periods where I get anxious or sometimes panic attacks, because that still happens when it's a real mental health problem, not just situational. I mean, even situational is a real mental health problem, don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean, when it's actually like due to brain chemistry versus just your situational environment, it will still sneak up on you every now and again. It just does. When your brain chemistry just ain't right, or you didn't eat well, or something just ain't going quite right, it'll sneak up on you. But I'm not battling that no more. I'm actually the happiest, the most freest I've ever been by being an absolute fucking loser. 40 years old, starting again for the fourth fucking time. And somehow, not only am I the happiest, the most stable I've ever been, somehow I'm the most successful I've ever been too. Now, how in the fuck is that supposed to happen if I'm a loser, right? Can a loser really win? Maybe the losers have been winning this entire time. And it's all of us that are driven to think that we're winners or think that we have to be winners that are the real fuck-ups. That are the ones that are really losing, are the ones who think they're winning. I'm going to explain why. I'll explain kind of a little bit more about my life. Hopefully it relates to all of you. I've listened to a lot of other people talk about their lives and their struggles and their strife. I've been down there with them, whether it's through addiction, whether it was through being homeless, whether it was through being a lot of different shit. A lot of different shit. Somehow I escaped any serious legal troubles. God was over my shoulder, I guess. Came damn near close many a time. But somehow never had to serve a day in jail. I don't know why. Somehow I was just lucky. But otherwise, yeah, I was down there in the trenches with them, living that same life. I've also been with the people on Park Avenue, the people in the high rises, people with those six-figure jobs or pursuing the six-figure jobs in some of the top universities, with other very well-off students and people that have legacy families that are educated and live in those high earner lifestyles and multiple big homes and all that, driving BMWs and Mercedes and whatever, and just buying it like it's an average car. I didn't grow up with that. No. So I was kind of out of place with them, but I was there with them too. I got to see their life and experience some of their life through them. Through them, hanging out with them and hanging out with their families and whatnot, and even dating a few of those women like that. But never really fit into that life. And of course, when you're kind of faced with that, and this becomes even more true now with social media, with all these alpha males and these life coaches and these gurus that try to teach you that you need to be this way and that way, or have a rollie on your wrist, or drive a Rolls or a Lambo or whatever, or make $100K a month or a minute or whatever the hell it is, and you ain't winning unless you're doing that. Otherwise, you're a lazy ass mother, whatever. The whole Wes Watson shit and that Vincent Fisher nonsense, that mophead. Like he knows a damn thing about what life is about. I mean, if he really is successful, good on him, but I think it's all an act. It really is. Those guys are in debt up to their eyeballs. Which is actually another thing I've noticed about a lot of other people that are supposedly winning, or that are pursuing this winning lifestyle. Now, why does that appeal to all of us anyway? What is it about the thought about being a winner is so positive and something that we strive for, but yet being what society would call a quote-unquote unmarried, childless, starting over for the fourth time, loser here on the internet? How come that's not appealing versus being a supposed winner who's in debt up to their eyeballs, who's got people taking him for a ride every single minute for extra money, who instead of being okay with getting help or assistance or hand-downs or whatever to get up on their feet again, are actually the ones being taken for the ride and being taken advantage of by others around them. Who, yeah, got that beautiful plumped-up chicken of a woman with them that looks like Foster Farms did some good work. You know what they do at Foster Farms? They fluff up those chickens full of salt water to make them heavy and plump and juicy. As soon as you cook them sons of bitches, they shrink down to half the size. I wonder if some of these Miami women or LA women are kind of like that. I wonder if you poke them, will they deflate? I mean, holy shit. Like, what do they call those plumped up lips? The salchicha lips or whatever? The sausage lips in Spanish? Damn, that's some ugly looking shit. Tell you. Whew. Just be natural, honey. God damn. Like, some of those women would have just been just gorgeous natural, but what the fuck did they do to themselves? But somehow that's like the whole trophy, that's what they need to show off. Yeah, that woman's just there taking them for a ride. Milk them dry. And as soon as they're out of money, bye-bye, she's gone. Or as soon as they turn to her to be an actual partner, either in business or actual partner in life, or to be like an actual nurturing woman, no, she's gone. She's effing the Pilates coach while you still paying for it for all their dates. So who's really the loser now? So what is it about it that makes it so appealing? Why are we driven that way? Well, society is built off of tribalism, right? It's just the same tribal logic that sure has kept humanity alive for millennia, for several millennia. That kept us alive all throughout our evolution, that developed society and developed civilization and everything, because it was all survival mechanism. Most of us humans are very, very weak, fragile creatures. You put us out there without clothing on, we'll freeze to death. You put us out there to hunt food with our own claws and teeth, we're going to starve. I mean, hell, even nowadays, even back then, most people drinking directly out of the river or pond or puddle, you're going to get massive diarrhea and vomiting and totally ruin your electrolytes and just die. Dehydrate, die, and go into shock or seizures even because you messed up your entire salt balance from all that, purging that happens. We can't eat raw food for the most part without getting sick or not getting the nutrients we need. I mean, humans are just fragile. In our biology, we're just fragile. And it's not like we were a whole hell of a lot tougher in our early evolution. Yeah, we were. We were more ape-like. But even then, take a singular ape, throw him out there in the woods. Yeah, I mean, he'll survive for a few days, a couple weeks. I mean, technically he could survive biologically on his own just fine. But not really. Because what else does that ape need to survive? It's hard for them to catch food entirely by themselves. Yeah, they can scrounge and eat grubs. That's relatively lower effort, but still, you're not getting as much bang for your buck. So you need to be in a group to be able to hunt bigger game, to get enough nutrition, to gather enough for everyone to eat. And then he's going to get picked off by himself out there. He's ripe for the picking. So he needs a group to help protect him or warn him or shelter in the rain. You get an ape out there totally soaked up in the rain, he's going to shiver and freeze. How do they survive? They build nests together. They build shelters together. They huddle together. They groom each other to help keep each other hygienic and from getting fleas and ticks and diseases. They can't do it by themselves. It's not like a cat that can just lick itself all over. No. So even from our core foundation as a biological being, we were more fragile than the rest. And then as humanity continued to be more human, we started losing a lot more of our native, natural, primal abilities. And it's kind of the chicken or the egg thing. Was it because we settled more or because we became more advanced technologically, even in the early primal days, that led to us losing those traits? Or was it the traits that were lost or diminished first by selective breeding that was breeding more either better secondary features like sexual secondary features or breeding better intelligence? And somehow, despite the disadvantageous nature of losing some of that strength and some of that selectiveness in those other primal features, that actually the intelligence ended up being the more powerful tool. That's what it was. And then to compensate, we use our intelligence to build fire to cook food, to break it down enough so we can actually eat it. Because as your brain cavity grows, you got less anchoring points for big, heavy jaw muscles. So you lose jaw strength. You got to soften up your food. As we got to be more bipedal, because it gave us an advantage, a better advantage than what it took away from us, now you have to have shorter guts and different gut anatomy in order to fit all that in there. So now you can't get away with eating as much raw food because you don't have the digestion time, you don't have the strength, the digestion strength, you don't have the room for all that different type of flora, bacteria that can help break the stuff down and make nutrients for you. That's actually what really makes most of our nutrients are gut bacteria. You kill those suckers off, you can eat all the shit you want to eat. You ain't getting no nutrients. Hardly any. It takes a lot of active bacteria in there to break that stuff down in a way that you can use it. And that's why you see like gorillas and apes with big guts, especially if they're vegetarian, because they need that room to ferment the vegetation, to have the room for the gut biome to be able to break that down and make it into something useful. But as we got more taller, as we got more bipedal, that was lost. But being bipedal gave us a better advantage of being faster, being able to spot predators earlier, spot prey earlier, looking more imposing. Because when you're standing up, that's why bears and things will stand up. Even cats will stand up onto their legs to pounce and, during fights and stuff to make themselves look big. And it isn't a more opposing thing. So there was a lot of advantages. But we also lost a lot of our biological strength in that process, which then drove us to be more societal. And the more societal we got, the more advanced we got, the more and more we lost the other biology, because now the selective pressure is towards intelligence, towards emotion, towards abstract thinking, towards societal motivations. And that's what drives us still to this day. And if you look at how we were back in those days, if you didn't get along with the tribe, if you didn't follow the rules, you were excommunicated. And by that point of your evolution, good luck, Chuck. You ain't really going to survive, because you don't got hardly any tools with you. You got no clothing. Yeah, you can make it all for yourself, but that's a lot of time and work. It's much easier to have dedicated people that can do all that stuff for you. That's what we still do today. So because of that, the pressure was always there on us to mold to societal tribal pressure, and that's the same today. That's why we're pushed into going for that six-figure job and driving those brand new luxury cars and get the new one every couple of years and have that multi-million-dollar house. And that's why it also appeals to us, because society tells us that's what the tribe wants. That's what the tribe wants, to look at you and say, wow, you're a good member. Yeah. Pat on the back. Good job. I admire you. Okay, thanks. Are you going to help me pay my bills? You going to help me pay this fucking mortgage? You going to help me with this salchicha-lipped woman who keeps taking all my money out of my pocket? No, but I'm going to pat you on the back. I'm proud of you. Mm-hmm. Thanks, buddy. You can go ahead and keep the pat on your back to yourself. Thanks. I'm good. So that's why it becomes such a drive for some of us to become renegades, to be like, F this. I'm going my own way. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to be living that way. It looks awful. But then society likes to beat that down. Society loves more than anything to create an enemy. And that's actually part of tribal survival. That's, again, tribalism. One way a tribe survives is by making it an appealing process. How do they make it an appealing process? One, the reward, support, socialization, that dopamine hit of getting that validation from your group mates, but also from fear, by mongering fear that out there is the enemy. Out there, the world is going to kill you. Out there, those rogues and those rebels, those are the bad ones. They're going to take everything from you. Those are bad people who are going to lead you down a bad road. And they were kind of right, given some of my past experiences, to be honest, but not all of us. Not all of them are that way. But that makes it a very appealing thing to do what society wants, to follow that pressures of getting married, reproducing, having the exact same amount of kids, living in that exact same type of mansion, driving the exact same type of car, making that exact same amount per month, you know. And that's also what makes these gurus and these finance bros and these Vincent Fishers and Wes Watsons and these alpha men even more appealing. Because what's better than being part of a tribe? Being looked up to by the tribe. Being the leader of the tribe. Oh, that's even more enticing. Being the tribe. That's even better. But then it just basically creates, again, the same cycle. Now that becomes now the new norm. Everyone wants to go for that. And if you look at, they're always presenting the exact same shit. The exact same house. Literally, it's the same house. They're all renting the same house for filming. The same car. They're renting the same car for filming. And they all claim to make the same amount of money per month. If you look back, they were coaching each other. So it's like, again, the pressure is even with them, with the alphas who are supposed to be the top of the class and the leaders of society. Even with them is the pressure to be the same, to do the same thing, follow the same rules, earn the same stuff. And I tell you, I fell for that too, my life, and throughout my life, man. We came to this, my family and I, we came to this country as political Siamese. We left because somehow we got on the wrong side of communism. And we needed to get the hell out of there right before the revolution started kicking off big time back in Romania. So we left. My dad left on foot through Yugoslavia and somehow managed to hook up with some other Romanian diasporas that were caught on that side of the border when all the borders were reformed after World War II. And they helped him get to a train station, get a ticket, and he, was able to keep his head down long enough to make it to Rome, Italy, and sought asylum there and was put in a refugee camp. My mom and I went through Austria, or Hungary into Austria, smuggled in a truck behind a false wall, and then dumped over there to be picked up by the Austrian police. And at that time, Western Europe was not, if you got to that side of the border, they would take you in and bring you to a processing facility. They wouldn't turn you back. And even Hungary was not, it was communist by name, but even then they wouldn't bother so much. It was a safer bet to go through there. If you can make it past the border without getting shot into, out of Romania, then once you get to Hungary, they usually don't even turn you back. They're like, they don't care. They're just in name only work. In name only, salute the king in name only. Once he's not looking, just do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get gone. And then the Austrians were like, why do you keep coming here? We don't have space for you all. Fine, but we can't turn you back. Okay, go outside of Vienna to the camp. Which I can't tell you how freaky that sounds to be like told by a German speaker to go to the camp. But they really meant the refugee camp. And this time it was actually a good setup. All right, so we were okay. But then through some kind of Catholic agency, my dad ended up getting kind of a lottery to come to the U.S. We didn't even think to come to the U.S. We just thought we just wanted to get out of the East. That was it. Wherever we end up, that's good enough. But somehow, he ended up getting a lottery to land basically through New York into New Jersey, where my uncle on my dad's side was, because he jumped ship out of the Merchant Marines in Turkey and then escaped that way through the Middle East and somehow got to the U.S. like a few years before. So they linked up, he was living there in a roach-infested basement by some Jewish family that was renting those places out, And no fault of them. I mean, these are just old buildings back in the, late 80s, early 90s. Like, they were just shit. New York was just a shithole back then. I mean, it just was. No offense to New Yorkers. I know you love your city, but those basements, old-ass basements, are roach-infested shitholes. I mean, just, you know that. You all know that. Like, don't lie. I'm sure you all fixed it up by now, but back then especially, you all know that. That was the vibe. That was the thing. Everyone knew. But then somehow, that same agency ended up finding us in Austria and kind of relinked us all back up again in New Jersey a few months later. They took us out of Austria into New Jersey. And we linked up there and came to this country, and we lived in a roach-infested basement, for a few years. Then we, moved to Texas. Surprise. Austin, and my dad ended up, working, pools and constructions and doing whatever jobs he could, and ended up getting a job at Motorola as like the machinist that was stamping the chips. And because he had a good eye and a good attention to detail, he ended up catching a bunch of errors, and then he became the quality control guy, and then the line manager, and then the whole, little factory manager and stuff. He ended up having a very good job, and it was a good deal. And my mom worked night shifts at factories, wherever she could. First at like retailers, and then factories, and we had a pretty good life. We were chasing the American dream. They bought their first home in Austin, Texas, for $80,000 back in that day, and we were some big shits. My dad had a Slant 6 Malibu from the 70s, and he loved that car. He still says to this day it was the best car he ever had. And then we had a brand new Ford F-150 heavy half. Back in that day, I don't know about you, young kids probably don't know this, but back in those days of the 80s and 90s, if you didn't want to go full heavy duty, to be like on a bumpy ride, like riding on a log going downhill, you can get something called a heavy half, which was a half-ton truck that rode more like a car, more like, a half-ton truck, a little softer, but had heavier axles, better, hubs to them, bigger brakes, a little bit bigger suspension, heavier suspension, and could carry a little bit more. So kind of like slotting in between, a 2500 and a 1500. So that's what we ended up getting. And my dad still did construction on the side and stuff like that. And then we ended up losing everything. The house ended up getting foreclosed on. And we ended up having to leave Texas. And we ended up homeless, living out of the back of my dad's work truck and just roving the country. And then we ended up getting up to some cousins that we knew that also escaped to Romania a little bit later on, but legally through a different lottery system. And they ended up in outside of where was it? I don't remember anymore the place, but it was like east of Detroit. But it was like a nicer area. It wasn't Edgewood, Eaglewood or something like that. I have to look this up again, but it was a decent area. So we kind of crashed with them for a while. My dad traveled all over the country building pools, going all the way to New Hampshire, Alaska, everywhere. Arizona, Washington, everywhere. And then we ended up just kind of roving sometimes with him and still homeless living out of that truck. We decided we're going to pack everything up again and leave my cousin's place, and still homeless, living out of that truck. We crossed the country and crossed the Cascade Mountains going west. Go west, young man. Manifest destiny is there. And it was a beautiful day in December. One of our rare beautiful days. Here in the PNW, we have like years of La Nina and El Nino, where it's like super wet and gray and drizzly, what everyone expects, PNW to be. And then we have years where it's so beautiful and dry and sunny. And it's just jaw-dropping. Just absolutely jaw-dropping. Not to say there's a lot of beauty in the rain and in the clouds that you see today, especially when you come up through the mountains, you see the clouds hanging low into the valleys and stuff, and it looks so like you're going into the house of the gods, But it's moist and damp and cold, and it's the type of cold that soaks into your bones that you can't shake off for like an hour or two afterwards, even after getting warm. And the kind of just gets you sick because it just like sits in your lungs, that kind of cold, dense air. We have like stretches of like years of that, and then a couple of years of good weather, and then stretches of really shit. But we came over here on a bright sunny day, and we were just like, wow, oh wow, oh wow. So we decided we're just gonna move here, living still out of the back of that truck. Came here in Western Washington, and we eventually, my dad still did pool construction. Ended up like convincing a small company to give him a position as a contractor. He was basically a contractor with them. Ended up doing really well, and he's the kind of guy, man, he could build an entire pool, an entire house, an entire anything by himself. 100% by himself. He did not need a crew. And they love that. One man that could do a whole job of a crew in half the time, and it comes out right, and it comes out built that it doesn't fall apart ever again. Yeah, they like that. They like that big time. So he eventually just kind of built his way up in that company. Eventually we ended up getting an apartment in an area that was kind of known to be pretty gang-ridden and gang activity. And I grew up there, in that apartment area. I had black friends and Hispanic friends, and I saw drug dealing going outside of our apartment, and there was guns shooting off and stuff like that, and different factions fighting and firing off at each other, and bullets whizzing through the walls of the building and shit like that. And I didn't know any better. I thought this is normal. This is fine. Everything's fine. So I just had friends with all those black kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids. It didn't matter. I was an outcast. I was a foreigner myself. So I didn't care or know any better. And as a kid, you don't care. You don't care. You just want to play. You have such an innocence about you. You just want to play with other kids. You don't give a shit. And if they're cool kids, in the sense like cool, like they get along with you, and like you guys can like find stuff you like, you just get along. You just become friends. Where did that disappear? Why does that disappear when we grow up? Because society, man, it tries to teach us in a different way. That tribalism again, man, sneaks up. Man, imagine when you're a kid, you didn't give a shit about it. I don't know. You saw whoever, you played with them, you had fun, and you became friends. And fuck it, you didn't give a shit. Like that's the way we need to go back, man. We got to go back to being innocent like that. We really do. And I think the world would be such a better place. And I think that's the kind of innocence I went back to in my life, in my older life. Because that's why I also don't care like how you identify or who you are or where you're from or what you do. Because like I want to live in that innocence. I want to live in that innocence. I choose to. And it brought me so much peace and joy and happiness, man, I tell you. But anyway, yeah, growing up as a foreigner, we grew up poor-ish. We had to work very hard. Eventually, my mom started her own business. We made good money. My dad still worked construction and then started building homes. And then we started flipping real estate. And we ended up doing okay. We're never like super rich, but we ended up doing good. And then eventually we ended up doing very good. for a while. And then it came my time to go through school and all this stuff, and I was picked on and bullied and never fit in anywhere and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and always like fighting. I didn't even speak English properly for a long time. Still have an accent a little bit to this day, I'm told. I don't hear one, but maybe I still do. I still speak Romanian. I absolutely do. I speak it at home. Maybe I'm not 100% like absolutely perfectly fluent anymore because I use English more throughout my day. But yeah, I can switch back and forth. And yeah, after a little while of stumbling a little bit, like, a couple of sentences or so, my brain like switches back over and I could just flow pretty easily. But yeah, initially sometimes it catches me off guard. I'm like, shit, how did I start that sentence again? Like, frick. But then it just comes back after a little bit, It just like flow, and you're like switched over. But there was always the expectation on me that that my parents were doing everything that they can to give me, and then my brother was eventually born in Washington, and 6 years difference, younger. And they always wanted to give us the best lives, and they tried. They tried to give us the best lives, and they did a great job. Like, I mean, yeah, we had a lot of strife and trouble in our childhoods and stuff because of different issues, like parents fighting, and my dad, like, going through a period of alcoholism and stuff that, was fucked everything up for a while. But, he got over that shit, and otherwise, my parents did really, do the best they can for us. And granted, not seeing them a lot because I remember a lot growing up. My dad would be gone during the daytime. My mom would be sleeping at during the day because she worked nights. Then I would be just kind of doing my thing, and then my mom would leave for the night, and my dad would be at home during the night to sleep. And then my mom was working in the factories and stuff. And then there'd be times where there would be nobody home, so we found another person in our Romanian community that would come and kind of babysit me. And again, that kind of maybe kept the Romanian thing going because she barely spoke any English. So I had to just use Romanian constantly with her. And Romanian foods and culture and all that stuff. So I look very Western, and I love being Western because I love this. I took on this persona because this is what feels right to me. It feels right because it's all about that freedom mindset and that self-independent mindset. And I'll get to that in a little bit here, pretty shortly, because we're almost at 40 minutes. I gotta like speed shit up here. I'm going on memory lane too much. But anyway, never really fit in. But anyway, the expectation always was on us that we would go the next step. We'd be the next generation and the next step and the next pride of the family and the next generation of good things. And I worked very hard in order to achieve that. I worked with my family, always since a very young age, was either learning construction type trades and working with my dad, or working in the home business, taking care of elderly people. We did that in our own home. And eventually I became a CNA, and I did that actually as a job, as a profession, while going through undergraduate, chasing biology, and then becoming a biologist and realizing the money sucks. And then I ended up going back to school and somehow got into medical school. And that was a big point of pride. Like, oh my God, my son's going to be a doctor. Because in our brown foreign families, like, and I know I'm not exactly 100% brown, but I am mixed. But I do kind of, honestly, growing up, everyone considered me brown. So, I'm just going to go with that. Because I got broad nose, kind of squinted eyes, and a different face shape. And I'm a little pale right now because the sun hasn't been out for a while, but I darken up like real quick in the sun. But anyway, whatever, white, brown, I don't care. Again, I don't care about labels. I really don't. But just for comparison's sake, so you guys understand the story, I was considered kind of a brownish person, and I was always like put into those like POC kind of communities and stuff, which I loved. I love culture and I love diversity, and that's how I grew up with those people. So I was very happy with that. I didn't have any problem with that. But I always like the most white people, like, never accepted me as white, ever, never, ever, which was always so funny. Like, because I'm European, I'm white, I consider myself white, I'm Caucasian, right? That's what Europeans are. I mean, yeah, I'm mixed in with some other stuff, but I think I'm white. That's what I think of myself as. But whatever, it is what it is. Society is weird. Got into medical school, right? And then that was a big pride, and first 2 years went pretty good. I struggled a little bit because at that time I started having a huge mental break. Because, again, that pressure. That pressure to chase this life and chase this success and chase this money and chase this and chase that and have to work and have to support the family and be the point of pride and be the first, person in our family to go forward and go through college and go and become a success, and just everything, all this stress of all the different societies coming together, two different worlds crashing and everything. And I just fell apart. And of course, the pressure of medical school, when they say it's like drinking from a fire hose, they ain't joking. It really is just like drinking from a fire hose. You're just getting doused, absolutely doused. It's not a pleasant feeling. But I got to get back to work. I'm actually on my lunch break right now. But anyway, we're almost there. We got an hour lunch, so we're good. But I'm going to tidy this up a little bit here. But then I ended up taking my first break away from school because I just couldn't take it. And I also needed to help my family and stuff like that. And that was a lot of pressure. So I went back and helped the family, took a year break. And thankfully my school was very cool with that. And then I was still dealing with my mental health problems and severe depression. I was actually dealing with depression ever since 13 years old, again from that very similar kind of life, and it just kept building and building, and I never addressed it. I just kept stuffing it down, and it finally, that's why I promote you guys never to do that, because you will snap. You will fucking snap. You stuff that, imagine you stuff that much pressure into a plastic bottle. What's going to happen? It's going to blow. It is just going to blow. And I didn't snap in a violent way, I just snapped internally. I was just one day just broken. I couldn't think anymore. I had that whole pseudo dementia that happens with severe chronic depression. Total inability to function anymore. Not eating or eating too much, and just developing an eating disorder. Ballooning up 50 plus pounds and starving myself to be skeletal, and up and down and up and down and up and down. And then it's just everything was just spiraling out of control. Just everything was going to pieces. And crippling anxiety to the point where I developed agoraphobia. I couldn't come out of the house anymore for 3 years. I couldn't. Somehow my school was still very accepting of this and supportive, and maybe that's one of the benefits of being in this very blue liberal states, because they kind of have to. They can't just say, get fucked. Shape up or get fucked. So that was maybe a benefit in that sense. And to be honest, a lot of this liberalism and blue politics and stuff, they have a lot of good ideas. They really do, and a lot of good ideas for supporting society and helping the left people, but they went too far on this way crazy train end, man. Went way too far. But they do have some good ideas, and I'm not gonna lie, I benefited from those ideas. I really have, and I needed those things at that time. And then somebody introduced me, and of course my first winter commuting to undergraduate, I was on the highway, dark, stormy morning. I'm trying to get there early in the morning, stopped up in traffic. It was with this downpouring rain where you couldn't see in front of you. Windows are all fogged up, everything. I barely stopped in time because a whole line of traffic stopped. And then I see headlights coming up behind me. And this is not unusual because we're on going a roadway that's a highway speed, And it just kept coming. It's not slowing. It's not slowing down. And I'm like, what the frick is this? And I'm almost bumper to a small little Honda. And I could see something moving in the background of the back seat. I'm like, I think there's somebody in the back seat. Initially I was just going to let it roll and we just hit a bunch of cars and whatever, because I knew I was going to get struck. The way that car kept on coming, those headlights just kept filling up the rearview mirror super quick. I'm like, I'm going to get hit. So I have to decide, am I going to let it roll to absorb some energy, or am I just going to take it all into the back of the truck? And when I saw something moving, I panicked and I just slammed my right foot on the brake to the floor and it just held the truck as tight as I could. And bam! A Honda SUV hit me at what she claimed the last speed that she checked was 55 miles an hour. I was stopped. Downhill on a wet road. And because she hit the brakes initially, because she was going almost 60 at one point, she claimed. Hit the brakes, they made a funny noise. So she let go of them and just came at what she said last she looked was 55 miles an hour in right full force into the back of my truck. Bent my frame of my truck, destroyed the tailgate. Older truck, so the seatbelt didn't hold, so I got thrown forward over the top of the steering wheel, struck my head up against the windshield, back again, back over again, back again, because the truck was bouncing up and down again like this. Because when it got hit, the front is holding, so the back got lifted up and bounced down, bouncing like this. So of course I'm getting thrown all the fuck around. The seatbelt is not holding me because that latch system didn't work anymore. I'm getting my head struck at least a couple times into the windshield. My hip was broken and displaced. Struck the steering wheel multiple times. The airbag didn't go off. It was all fucked up. So ever since then, I've had a neck and back injury that keeps degrading, and my body has just been falling apart ever since. So I've been in tremendous pain and constant pain and numbness and loss of muscle control and numbness and tingling in my legs and fiery pain everywhere. And that didn't help the depression and anxiety either. And somebody introduced me to weed. And weed seemed to be like, oh my God, it's a godsend. Everything was relieved. Temporarily, of course. But I started my love affair with self-medicating, which spiraled eventually out of control. And somehow, high off my own ass on opiates and pills, because eventually, you did get pills initially, and then it was cut off, and then I went sober for a while, and then weed helped, and then, eventually realized, oh man, I need something stronger, and I remember those pain pills, and then no doctor was going to prescribe them anymore, and bought them on the street, and then spiraled into smoking black tar, and then finally smoking Fent. And God, Fent is like an angel first coming down to earth, but quickly turns into the worst demon you've ever met in your life. Took everything. Somehow I still made it through med school, graduated, ended up working for a little bit, still battling addiction and all this stuff. And then COVID hit, and because I went into primary care ultimately because I didn't score well on tests anymore because I was dealing with my depression, my family life, my addiction, my everything. Barely squeaked through, so no better paying position was going to take me. But whatever. What do you call the guy who finishes last even after 7 years? Doctor. In my case, more like Dr. House. But I ended up in primary care and then got furloughed because I wasn't like a very core thing right as soon as COVID hit. So then I was lost. I didn't have a job. I had the student loans to pay back. I can't work anywhere because I wasn't able to get work anywhere. I was able to volunteer, volunteer in emergency rooms and stuff, but volunteering don't pay the bills. I didn't work for long enough yet as a physician to make enough money, to make any money to live off of. So now I'm back living in mama's house as a graduated doctor with a student loan. And then eventually got into being a live-in caregiver because I still had my CNA, never let my CNA lapse. Did a really good job, and because of my medical knowledge, we were able to reorganize everything and put in protocols and all kinds of stuff, and I ran the shit good, and we never had a case of COVID. Not a single case at all that entire time. And anybody that came to visit, any of the family members, any of the residents, nothing. So I ended up then getting the chance to buy that business. So was able to buy it kind of thing with partnership and other stuff and loans and other things, getting more in debt. Ended up selling it and then did well, gave a lot of money to my parents and stuff, walked away with a little chunk. Still was battling addiction, ended up blowing it all away on fucking pills. And it broke as a joke again. Back to scrambling for jobs and begging for jobs as a CNA now, because I've been out of practice for a while, and if you're out more than 5 years, they make you go back to internship at least, if not a full residency. That's super hard to do. So that was just not going to happen. I applied everywhere, but it just never would happen. Tried many times, wouldn't happen. So that was kind of effed up. So my entire career as a physician was gone after all that. My entire big money I made blew it the fuck away. Begging for jobs to wipe old people's ass and change piss sheets and stuff like that now. Not able to hold a job because I was just agency, so they kick you around and do whatever, and couldn't get a permanent job because my addiction got even worse. And at that point, it really started to show that something was up. I was able to mask it and hide it for so long, but it ended up showing by then. I mean, I was doing 70 plus of those little blue press pills, every day and a half, 2 days. Amazing I didn't die, even though I came close a couple times. So I ended up not even getting a job anymore. And then deciding that I finally just had enough and either was going to just end it all or start all over again. So I decided I'm going to try to get sober. And I battled for well over a year to finally get sober with relapses over and over again and going back into outpatient therapy and going back again and going back again and going back again and fucking up again and just wondering, will I ever escape the clutches of this shit? And then one day I had my last pill with me and I said, this is it. I'm so done with this shit. I don't care if this withdrawals are going to kill me. This is the last one I'm smoking because I always smoked them. It's the last one I'm smoking on that foil. I'm throwing that shit away there afterwards. I'm never, ever buying it again. I gave up all my bank cards, all my bank access, although I didn't have more than a few bucks in there left anyway. But gave up no way to buy anything to, control of my parents. Went back into therapy. And I've been sober ever since. Somehow my soul flipped that day. My soul absolutely flipped that night. And I decided internally, I finally had that change internally where I didn't want to go back ever again. So now I'm still left with nothing. Now with bigger medical debts because I'm paying for my addiction treatment, even the times that I failed, recovery. Paying still for the active recovery that I'm still in. Paying for medical school bills because I have the student loan of $235,000 with no job. No nothing. Begging, looking around, doing construction, doing whatever little shit I could find. Dealing with my pain and everything. Finally, again with the medical bills, finally got to some good doctors that hooked me up with, physical therapy, which was denied for me. I got 2 weeks of physical therapy initially, which helped when I first got in the accident. And then they cut me off and I was never able to get back in there again. And then finally was able to get back into physical therapy, which helped. Massage therapy, neurologists, all that kind of stuff, which again mounted up to huge bills. But I am so grateful because now my pain is under way better control with just one medication, gabapentin, to help with the spasming and the electrical shocks and all those kind of things that happen because of all the pinched and damaged nerves, and especially here in the face and the neck area. And especially down the right leg because that was the one that was all effed up. And just otherwise non-pharmacologically. And I'm still able to be functional and doing all those things you see me doing on camera and all that stuff. And I ended up deciding I have nothing right now, really. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, and I didn't because I was worried that my medical people would find out, or, they wouldn't let me be a doctor because then my patients would recognize me as a YouTuber. But I always saw like these people like coming up from nothing, jail or addiction or totally effed up lives or just in their bedrooms with absolutely nothing, becoming these big stars. And I'm like, I could fucking do that. I could fucking do that. Come on. I could do that. I could do that. But I always talk myself out because I was either my accent. I didn't want people to hear my accent because in one of my first few videos, I tried to hide it big time. And now I don't. I just let it fly. Or I thought I looked goofy, which I do on camera. I look very goofy. Or my personality just ain't right. Or I don't really know what I'm doing or whatever. Or I don't know how to edit or film. And I still really don't. I mean, I'm learning. I'm learning every single time. But then finally I said, I got nothing to lose. I've always wanted to do this for like 10 years. I just went up and just filmed on a phone just like this. On a cell phone, just like this. Where's the camera? There, it's over here to the left, not over here in the center. It's over here on the left. And I figured I'm just going to go film. Film my first short series because that's all I could manage to do. And put it up there. And it just started getting traction. I was like, I thought if I got 9 views, I'd be so happy. And it did. They got 32. And I was like, hell yeah. And then an hour later, 345. Okay. A couple hours later, 560. Sweet. 1,200. Okay. 2,700. Oh, wow. 5,000. Holy shit. There's something to this. So I just kept going. And then ended up getting a good job with kind of building businesses and stuff on the side. Now I had motivation. I had something to live for. I had something to work for, something to strive for. And then being able to like sell businesses and do other things and developing a little bit of a nest egg and some savings. The channel started turning a little bit of money now. And now we got sponsorships now. We have 14,800 subscribers. And was able to develop businesses because of this and sell them and make profit. I have money in the bank now. I mean, yeah, I still have that student loan I'm paying down, but now well, afterwards, after I did all this, and finally had motivation to get my life back together and had something to work for and strive for, and something that gave me that feeling of like I'm finally making something, but doing it my way now. My way, the way that feels right for me, not the society's way. I ended up just throwing my application to a job with my state, state employee. I ended up getting that job, and it makes 6 figures, and it has massive benefits, and it's got so many freebies, and it's just shit. It's like, oh, shit is sweet, and my channel's making money now, and and those side businesses, I didn't really start up any new ones yet, but I'm going to eventually again. Did well, and I have money in the bank. If I want to if I want to drop $30,000, like I'm not bragging, like I don't have like big millions of dollars, but out of all my savings, if I really wanted to, I could just go buy like a $30,000 truck, like right now today on cash. That's it. I mean, that's all my money I got in my savings right now. But the fact that I have that just sitting there where I could be like, dude, I got a cushion. I ain't got to worry about shit, at least for a little while. And then I still have an income coming in. And that's when I started realizing, no wonder I was so unhappy. No wonder I was so unhappy. Because I was trying to live the way society wanted me to live. I wanted to live to be a winner. But right now, being a fucked up loser, starting for the 4th time over in his life, at 40 years old, this is the time I'm actually winning. I'm winning in everything I'm doing. And not just winning, but I'm happy. I'm actually happy. I feel like I'm doing what's right internally. I feel like I'm doing what's in line with who I am, with what I am. And I don't have to live fancy. I don't even desire to. I love driving my old 98 with 245,000 miles, OBS Chevy. I love driving this 2004 GMT 800 Denali luxury truck with 151,000 miles on it. All used, both of them, but they're all cashed out. I have no car payment. Because of my businesses and some other investments, I don't have a mortgage. I have a channel that's self-sustaining. And now we have some brand deals and partnerships coming in. I have a high-paying day job that covers every benefit I could ever need, including like all kinds of cool stuff with the union and whatever. How am I winning now when I'm such a loser? And how? It's because I gave up what society wanted me to be. Because everyone was like, why don't you go back to be a doctor? What's the point? What's the point? I wasn't happy doing that in the first place. Yeah, it was interesting and I loved helping people, but I wasn't happy there. I didn't feel like I belonged there. I did it because that's what I was told to do. I did it because that's what my society told me to do. That's because what the overall society that I live in told me what to do. I did it because that was the vision of success. And if I would have done that, yeah, I would be still making like 140, 150,000, maybe up to 200 by now after years of being an attending. Good money, very good money. But my whole day in life would be that. And I would be married. I was close to being married a couple times and then fucked everything up. I've been single for like the last almost 7 years now. But I would be tied to somebody maybe I wouldn't be happy with, just settling down because I'm told to do it. Maybe already with a family that I wouldn't even know what to do yet and feel like I've never even lived my life yet because all I did was work to try to strive and achieve all this. I would have been even worse, more unhappy. And that's why you see so many people who supposedly have it all are so unhappy because they did what they were supposed to do, not what they really needed to do, not what they really wanted to do. I'm a 40-year-old loser. Former addict. Total fuck up. And I'm winning. I'm fucking winning. I only have one loan to pay. That's my student loan. And most of that is going to get paid off with the PLSF. Yeah, it still exists, especially for the field I'm working in. I just have to make minimum payments. And my payments are low because my income is technically, well, it's not low anymore, but you know, it's not like crazy. My channel's doing its thing. growing, getting notoriety and business deals and partnerships and whatever. I am way overdue on lunch. It's almost time for the end of the lunch. So it's just amazing. I don't have a woman that's nagging on me. Granted, I don't have anyone that I could call my girlfriend or my wife or whatever that maybe I'd love, but now I could be selective. I could choose somebody that I actually jive with, like really jive with on a soul level. I don't feel like I need to have somebody. I don't feel like I want to just be with somebody just to appease society or the world or my family or whatever. Only if I want to. Only if I find somebody that I really connect with. And if I don't, I found my inner peace. My inner peace is the biggest thing I found in this whole journey. My own inner peace, my own inner strength, my own ability to trust my own thoughts, my own ability to trust my own heart, my own ability to trust my own direction, my own compass, my own ideas, and trust that I can just do it. And that ultimate feeling of freedom where you not only have that internal peace and you no longer feel like you're a slave to the system, because I hate to use the word, the S word, the slave word, but when you're driving to strive for what society wants, you do feel like a slave to it. You do. You feel like you are enslaved to the system, and you are. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not. If I lose this job, I'll be fine for months. My channel's making enough, not really that much, but it's enough to pay my usual bills. I got money saved in the bank, maybe not a whole lot, but it's enough. I got paid off cars. I ain't got no mortgage. I ain't got no kids' mouths to feed. I ain't got no woman digging her hands in my pocket. I got paid off cowboy hats and boots and jackets galore. I got tools all paid off. I got it all. By being a big fucking loser, I ended up being the biggest winner. And I do that because I don't go for the fancy things. I don't go for the new stuff in most cases. I go for used. I bargain hunt. I deal hunt. I negotiate. I find the little loopholes. I find everything. For me, it's almost like a game. And that was always the thing I grew up with because we just couldn't afford shit. Like, we did well, but we couldn't afford shit. We did well in terms of just survival, but that's it. But we had to learn. I had to learn as a kid how to build a bike if I wanted to have a bike until eventually we could eventually buy one. And even then, I had to learn how to maintain it. If it broke, that would be the last one I'm going to get for a while. And then I had to rebuild it if it broke down or if I needed something different. So I learned all kinds of shit. I learned how to build my toys. My dad taught me how to build toys. So I built my own toys. I would redo RC cars that broke or things broke on them and build a whole RC truck, semi-truck out of it. Using alarm clock parts and other things to make it work. And it's shit, man. Like anything I want, I've learned how to build because I had to as a survival strategy. But now that skill, along with the bargain hunting skill and the looking for the deals skill and how to negotiate and how to manipulate the systems of coupons and other things and learning how to farm and raise my own food and hunt and all that stuff, all that combined with that gives me that further inner peace. And combined with that inner peace gives me this ultimate feeling of immense freedom. The world could shut down right now. I know what to do. I don't need the stores to be open. I don't need Home Depot to be open. I don't need it to be in business. I don't need it to exist. All I need is a pile of junk. All I need is a tree and an axe. All I need is some soil and some horse shit. And I got myself covered. You know how immensely freeing that is? You know how immensely freeing it is that I don't have to take my car to the shop and get totally blindly bent over for thousands of dollars for no fucking anything? Yet all I have to do is spend a few bucks or go to the junkyard and I know exactly what to find, how to take it off, how to redo it, and how to put it in and modify it to make it work with my vehicle. And then my truck is running again. I can keep that motherfucker on the road forever. Pardon my language. This is not a PG. It's not a PG video today, guys. Not a PG video today. Sorry. Now, if the kids are watching, cover your ears on the cuss words, but listen to the message. All right, the message is the key thing here. You know how just immensely free I feel. I'm not pressured to do what the system wants. I don't give a flying F what the system wants, man. I'm going to try a little bit to try to be a little cleaner, I promise. I don't give an F. No F's to give. My pocket ain't full of F's, man. I ain't got nothing to give to you or anybody. And I don't have to. I don't have to. You know how much that puts your mind and soul at ease? To know that you ain't got to work. So this is what the message is. This is what the message is, and my message to all of you guys out there that are my millennial comrades, or my millennial counterparts, or however you want to put it, or my younger men that are growing up all confused in this world. I made this channel to try to help and spread those messages, the messages of what I've learned and how I learned it and how I found my inner peace and freedom by finding the ways to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and independent. And I teach you all the same skills and everything I've learned, everything new I learn, every new skill I have. And the messaging is all the same. The messaging is about teaching you guys how not to just fall into the same trap of just following society and following what society wants, but to find how to blaze your own trail, to make your own way, to do it with your critical thinking mind. And when you solve that problem, and you did it on your own hands, your own terms, do you know how amazingly powerful that makes you feel? How unstoppable that makes you feel? How legitimately unstoppable that makes you? And you could be the biggest loser on the planet, yet you're going to be the one winning. So I want to tell you, all of you, learn how to do shit on your own, man. Learn how to do shit. Don't be afraid to take stuff on. Don't be afraid to jump when others are standing still. Don't be afraid to go into the dark night of where it's unknown and just blaze the fuck ahead and just plow like a bull with his horns down and not giving an F of who's in your way. Don't give an F what rules or regulations or whatever. I mean, yeah, don't try to get in trouble, but don't worry about what society says. You bad boy. That's the bad boy right there. Just don't give an F about it. And they're going to call you a loser. They're going to call you a freak. They're going to call you whatever. And yeah, technically, by their standards, you are a loser. I'm a loser. Yet somehow, I got money saved up. I got paid off vehicles that run. Luxury vehicle. Luxury nice clothing that I found on great deals. Who's really the winner now? So none of you guys out there that are losers are losers. Nah. You're in the right spot right now to learn some skills and look at the world from a different way, from a different angle, from a different vantage point. From down below, you're going to see things that others are missing. Just like when you're working on a truck, when we're working on a superjank, right? Looking from the top, all you see is beautiful sheet metal. Look from down below, that's when you see all the grease. That's when you see all the cracks. That's when you see all the moving parts. That's when you see when things are broken or things are missing or there's gaps and holes and other things. From when you're down low, from underneath, looking up, is when you see all the mechanics of how things work. And when you see all the mechanics of how things work, that's when you know how you can fix your own system. And that's how you know how you don't have to play by the rules. Because you're not looking at the sheet metal, the pretty sheet metal. Nah, you know how it all works from underneath. You know all the dirty, you know all the good, you know all the bad, you know all the ugly. You have seen it all, you've been through it all. You're looking from the bottom up. And you know exactly how that shit runs. And that makes you a powerful, dangerous man or woman or them, he, them, whatever. Because now you know exactly how to work it in your favor. And let them call you a loser while they're paying off their fourth overpriced car payment that they're upside down in and paying off a mortgage where the house just lost like $300,000 in value. Cool. I'll be losing all damn day long, then, my friend. Let me lose all damn day long. Anyway, a little more of a serious video. I gotta get out of here because I'm ready to leave from lunch about 9 minutes. See you all later. The Fuzzy Fixer. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the rest of the series. This is part of my whole commentary corner, kind of behind the scenes series. I also tell you about my trials and tribulations of becoming a content creator. And then also we're going to continue on with the projects. And that's the whole point of the channel. That's what I made the channel for. That's why it's titled Get It Done. I teach you all how to get it done, how to get your power back in 2025, in bad economy, in down times. And it doesn't matter. You will survive and be comfortably surviving. And comfortably happy, and most importantly, at inner peace. Because you have now the skill and the power, and most importantly, that no fear drive. They just do it. That's what makes you unstoppable. And that's what the whole point of the channel was. Because that's how I had to live. I had to live that way. And I finally, through that way, is how I conquered being a loser. Yet winner. And that's what this channel is all about. That's what everything I teach on this channel is all about. So check it out. We got 5 series we kind of run through. And you may say, like, probably what the air rifles have to do with it. Well, that's also like alternate hunting, stealthy mechanics, being able to get around like regulations and laws and stuff like that. So that's kind of what the whole thing is about. That's why I do that. See, and plus I love air rifles. I think they're just fantastic pieces of engineering. But anyway, check all that out. We got new air rifles coming out. I have to finish editing it. We got new truck stuff. We got new, this is the behind the scenes. We got new commentary corner coming out. We got new tool stuff and knife review, which is pretty sick and sweet. We got new Western wear. Check it all out. I'll see you all later. Bye. Stay wild, y'all.